Hello everybody, I am Jedi Jack Penguin and welcome back to an early LEGO Harry Potter review. So today we're going to be looking at set number 76420, Triwizard Tournament, The Black Lake. This set includes 349 pieces, retails for $44.99 when it releases on March 1st of 2023. Now I was really lucky to get this alongside a few other sets early from a place I'm not going to tell you about, just so then in case it happens in the future it can happen again. But anyways, looking at the box art design, we follow the same style that we've been getting for the last few years. I really love how we get both above and under the water in the same picture, and even including Hogwarts in the very background of this set. Also have to point out this funny instance up here. Model does not float. But seriously, look at the box art design. This really feels like a set that's gonna sell well just because of that. Spinning around to the back of the box, we have some of our play features, including the diving feature, the transfiguration of Crumb. Oh my gosh, I love that facial expression. However, the other side is just kind of weird. But anyways, really excited to bust this open, push tabs from the bottom, which is nothing new. Let's see what's inside. Included in the box are 4 numbered bags, 1 loose plate piece, as well as your instruction manual. LEGO continues to avoid paper bags, but still happens to include these ugly looking instruction manuals within their sets. From the back you get your win information, piece count for 2 pages, and some advertisements featuring the other regular set and the 4 gimmicks for this March 1st, 2023 wave. You guys can expect reviews on all of these before the end of March. Swimming into action, we have our very first minifigure of Harry Potter. Now, the first thing I wanted to highlight about this exclusive figure are the inclusion of the flipper piece for the very first time in the flesh tone, which really help along these plain black legs. It's unfortunate that LEGO has yet to figure out how to dual mold these. I really wish that we could have seen the black on the top for the swim trunks and the flesh tone from the bottom for the feet, but I guess this works still the same. Looking at the rest of this figure's design, we get a brand new print for both the torso as well as that double-sided facial expression with the gills to represent when he takes the gillyweed, which we'll see another reference in there. Sleeveless look for those arms and hands. I love getting the flesh tone for that. Wand for the accessory, printing on the back. You get Potter, and that red color overall for the torso to represent Gryffindor colors. And the double-sided facial expression, you get the smirk from the front, and you can spin that right around to see an unhappy, angry look for when he's trying to argue with the Merperson to get both Ron and Hermione up from the bottom of the lake. One last thing that I have to touch on when it comes to this figure is the printing a lighter color on a darker surface, flesh tone color printing on the torso just doesn't look quite right in my opinion. LEGO's been messing around with this for a few years now. They get it right sometimes, but here I don't think it really works. Also have to point out getting that Lloyd hairpiece in black is really nice again for this figure. The only other champion included is Victor Crumb from Durmstrang, who I think LEGO has done an amazing job upgrading this figure. Look at that facial expression. Now, the only downside to this is the fact that the other face, which you can see very barely from the other side, is what you use when you place on the shark head, and yeah, that just looks really ugly from the back. At least the hairpiece does cover it up for the most part. They're also using a brand new hairpiece compared to the one that we saw back in 2019. This being the one that they use typically on like Black Panther figures, so I think it works very well to represent Victor Crumb. And yet again, just look at that facial expression. I really think they nailed it compared to the one that they were using before, where you can see a lot more of the goatee and the mustache. Another thing that I do have to minorly complain about when it comes to this figure is the inclusion of just the plain red legs. I just wish that they could have included some sort of like swim trunk design for this figure. Dual molded legs I think would have done wonders for this figure. Sleeveless look just like Harry, and you also get that tank top design with the Durmstrang logo from the front. And he can spin right around. You don't see his name from the back. And as I said, when you spin around the facial expression, you get that mouth design for when you place on the shark head, which LEGO could have made a new mold for this, but they decided to reuse the one that we saw back in the Minifigures series, but it's recolored in that light gray, which I think is a really great color to get this piece in. You get the eye printing for the shark, though the only downside to using this piece is that we also happen to get the rest of the shark tail as well, and Crumb only transfigures his head into a shark in order to breathe underwater, so it is a little bit inaccurate, even though it's really nice to get this piece in that light gray color. I think they could have easily gotten away with using something similar to what we saw back in LEGO Atlantis. That was something that I think would have worked very well, though as far as budget goes, I am happy that they were able to reuse a piece here, even though it was inaccurate. Out of the two champions included in this set, the first one to arrive back with their hostage was Victor Crumb with Hermione Granger. Now this version of Hermione with those mid-sized legs to represent year 4, we get a reused torso print which we saw introduced back in 2021 with the Gryffindor Hogwarts robes, front and back printing with that hoodie there. We have a reused facial expression from the back, though we do happen to get that sleeping look from the front from when she's underwater, which is really great that they were able to include this facial expression. I think it works very well. You can see that with the hairpiece, which also works very well for this scene, this big fluffy hairpiece that was introduced back in 2019. Might I add, I think it works better here than it ever has on our minifigure, and we can spin that facial expression right around to wake her up, and then she'll look just like a regular old Hermione in her Hogwarts uniform. The last champion to arrive with their hostage was Harry Potter with Ron Weasley, as well as Fleur's sister Gabrielle, who unfortunately didn't make the cut for this set, even though we did actually have an accurate facial expression that we got back in 2019. It is a little disappointing, I guess it's out of print now. Hopefully we end up seeing an expansion of some type to this set, because I would really like to see both Cedric, Fleur, as well as Gabrielle and Cho show up in some way, shape, or form, just to complete the scene. Now looking at the rest of Ron's figure, we get the same torso design that we saw for Hermione, printing front and back, and that brand new facial expression with that sleepy look from the front, and LEGO even gave us a bonus facial expression from the back. Another brand new look for Ron, which works very well. And we also have that Cole hairpiece from back in the day recolored in orange, which we saw back on the 2010 version of Ron. I feel that works pretty well to represent his hair floating in the water, don't you? And last but certainly not least, we have the Merperson for the second time ever in LEGO form. We saw this figure back in the 2005 set, and I think they did a really great update with this figure. I know some people have been complaining about the lack of printing on the mermaid tailpiece, though I think it looks fine. You have that full sand green look for this figure, printing from the front of the torso, exclusive prints for the torso, as well as that double-sided facial expression. Look at the back of the torso there, I think that works very well. Might I add that tail mold as well as the hair piece originated from LEGO Video, so it's nice to see that those molds are still getting used. You get one of those trident pieces which was introduced in the LEGO Atlantis theme. And as I said, double-sided printing for that headpiece with a sort of smirky, angry look from the front, and then an even angrier scowl from the back. If they make an expansion, I honestly would not mind them including a duplicate of this figure. Would really like to army build some of these. Before we move on to the builds, one brand new mold included in this set is for a Grindylow, which honestly surprised me. I'm so happy that we're getting this for the very first time in LEGO form. You get this fully trans clear opalescent color here where you can see the sparkles in the design. You get the printing for the eyes and that big grin. Similar design to like Baby Groot and also the Pixie figures where you get those bar connections so you can actually have a minifigure hold onto it. Like you can see here with Ron. Very nice and easily you can have a character hold it as well. And we also get the anti-stud from the bottom so you can place this figure on studs as you see here. And we'll just spin him right around so you can take a look at the back of the design. Overall very adorable. The colors are a little weird in my opinion. I wish that it was in more of like a darker tan color scheme than this opalescent, though I still think it looks really interesting just to blend in and hide around in the water. Come seek us where our voices sound, we cannot sing above the ground. An hour long you'll have to look and to recover what we took. Welcome to the second task of the Triwizard Tournament. Now, this is such a wonderful set in my opinion, though I really wish that we could have seen a much bigger underwater situation with all of these figures. That's really my biggest complaint when it comes to this set. I just wish that we could have seen Fleur and Cedric, as well as Cho and Gabrielle included, because that would have made this such a perfect set just to get all of the champions and their hostages. But as it is right now, I still think this is such a wonderful set and probably the best set of the March Harry Potter wave. It also would be wrong of me not to talk about the original 2005 set, which is kind of what this is based on in terms of the figures included. I think it's really crazy to see how far LEGO has come, and even including an above water build to go along with the underwater scenery. I think this is such a fun playset, and I love how you can combine both of these builds and just all of the different play features. It's just such a fun set. One of the very first things that you build in here is probably one of the weakest inclusions. You get one of these boats in order to get to the stands. You get two of these paddles in order to paddle your way there, as well as a tile piece from the bottom so you can easily sit a minifigure down and don't have to worry about their legs getting stuck to any studs. The only downside to this is, as a whole, very simple design for the boat, lots of brown being used for the wood. Following the boat build, we have the design for the stands and even the spot where you can launch your champions into the lake. I think this is really an amazing inclusion. It's something that we didn't see back in 2005, and also just look at the color scheme. I really love the combination of the white and the sand green. This roof design, it's extraordinary. Love, love, love this piece. So happy to have 4 of those included, and just like the sleek design from the very top of the roof. Additionally, we get a clock from the top, which you can actually spin, using this feature over here just to show the passage of an hour where the champions have to find their hostage. Moving to the open back of the build, we have 2 of these gunmetal gray mugs, as well as what I suppose is tea to feed your champions once they finally emerge from the cold water. We also have a minor reference to gillyweed from the very back, where we just get this translucent green cylinder piece, which is topped off by one of those 1x1 tiles for a cork. You can get up here using the ladder, which you can even bring up if you don't like how that looks from the bottom. Another thing that I have to point out as something that I really love seeing included in this set are these fence pieces in white. You get the curved ones as well as the straight ones, and they're even tiled off from the top. Just look at that, and plenty of studded room in that interior area if you want to stand around any minifigures who are watching, as they can't see what's happening with the champions. Another thing that I was pleasantly surprised about are the designs of the supports. I really love getting this piece in brown. You get 4 of those, and overall I think it works very well. You even get this extra clip piece connection as an extra support going off from that side. Now, the main play feature shown here is the inclusion of this tiled off area, in which we actually get this piece that you can move just with a little push in order to knock your champions down into the depths of the water. Now, in order to actually show that as accurately as possible, I am going to place this build right on top of the other one, and I'll transform Crumb and place him right over here, and Harry will go right next to him. And as I showed, we have that little lever in which you can push down in order to launch your minifigures down into the depths of the water to save their hostages. Removing that top section, you can see it's easily placed on top of these studs. We move on to the underwater portion of the set, which you get this archway, which looks amazing. I love getting these masonry bricks in that sand green color, and even just like the pattern from the very top. This just looks really nice, and the color scheme mixing of the sand green with that teal color really gives you that underwater feel, even down to the blues being used from the very bottom. You get some of that seaweed and some more of these weed pieces coming out from the side. You get a crab, as well as this weirdly green colored fish. And of course, we have the design for where your hostages stand or float underneath the water. Now I think this is a really interesting design, how they have the chain connected to 2 points. We use these flex tube pieces in order to give a little bit more movement to these characters as they're underwater. I think it's really cool how they were able to do that. Also from the back you can see a hidden feature of a cup for some reason. I guess that's some sort of treasure for the Merperson. And we also have an open stud over here in case you want to just hide that little Grindylow over here. You can place him underneath. But really the one complaint that I have, as I keep mentioning, is I wish that this was just a touch bigger and it included all the hostages and all of your champions to save them. So overall, for $45, I think this is a really great value. You get all exclusive minifigures included in this set. Despite the fact that we don't get all of the hostages and the champions, I think this is just a really great start. Hopefully we see an expansion to the underwater section in future. That's really something that I wouldn't mind seeing, even if they have to repeat the Merperson. As far as getting both the underwater and the above water setting, I'm so happy that LEGO decided to include that, and even the fact that you can take the above water setting and place it right on top. I think that's just such an interesting concept and it works very well. I also love a lot of the different references in this set, including that Grindylow mold, which is such a great thing to finally see in LEGO form, something that I never really expected to see. And again, these figures, though not perfect, are great inclusions, and I'm so happy with how this set turned out. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I have to say for this video. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, what your thoughts are on this set. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to know if I upload a new video. So yeah, that's it for now, and I will see you next time. Bye!